Somewhere, inside a tiny eggshell, a new life is waking up. The world beyond that shell doesn't exist yet. No colors, no sky, no mother, only faint sounds, and a heartbeat the chick has never seen. Then, the shell begins to crack. A tiny beak pushes through. A small pair of eyes slowly opens. For the very first time, standing above the nest is a face.
Hello there,
The chick doesn't know what it's looking at. It has no experience, no memories, no way to compare one creature to another. Its brain is searching for only one thing. Who am I supposed to follow? Normally, that first face belongs to its mother, but sometimes nature takes an unexpected turn. A wildlife rehabilitator leans over the nest, a researcher checking an incubator, a farmer helping an abandoned hatchling, or simply a curious human who arrived at exactly the wrong, or perhaps the right, moment. The chick looks up, and without hesitation, it makes a choice, not because it's thinking, not because it understands, but because millions of years of evolution have programmed its brain to do something extraordinary. It accepts the first moving caregiver as its parent. From that moment forward, the tiny bird may follow the human everywhere, call for them, beg for food from them, even refuse to leave their side. To anyone watching, it feels almost impossible. Why would a wild bird believe a human is its mother? The answer begins with one of the strangest survival mechanisms ever discovered in the animal kingdom. And once scientists uncovered it, they realized this wasn't simply adorable behavior. It was something far more remarkable. For centuries, people believed this behavior was simple affection, a lonely baby bird, finding comfort in the first creature it met. But scientists eventually discovered something much stranger. The moment a chick hatches, its brain enters an incredibly short window, a brief period when it's desperately searching for one answer. Who should I follow? It doesn't have time to learn through trial and error. In the wild, hesitation can be fatal. A hatchling that wanders in the wrong direction may never find warmth, never find food, never survive its first day. So evolution created a shortcut. Instead of asking, "Is this really my mother?" the chick asks only one question. Is this the first moving caregiver I can trust? Once that answer is chosen, the decision becomes astonishingly powerful. The bird begins following, calling, depending, learning, as though that creature had always been its parent. Scientists call this remarkable process imprinting. And once imprinting happens, it can shape the bird's entire future, which raises an even bigger mystery. What happens when that first parent isn't a bird at all? The answer shocked the scientific world. In the 1930s, an Austrian scientist named Konrad Lorenz decided to test an unusual idea. Instead of allowing goose eggs to hatch beneath their mother, he became the very first face the goslings would ever see. The result was unforgettable. The moment the goslings hatched, they walked straight toward him, not the adult geese, not their own species. Him. They followed him across fields, through gardens, into his home. If he walked away, they hurried after him. If he stopped, they stopped. To those tiny birds, he wasn't a scientist. He was simply Mom. At first, people thought the birds would eventually realize their mistake. Surely they'd recognize other geese. Surely instinct would correct everything. But that's not what happened. The bond remained. The first face had become permanently written into their understanding of the world. Lorenz's famous discovery transformed the way scientists viewed early learning, but it also revealed something unsettling. If imprinting is this powerful, what happens when humans accidentally cause it in the wild. Imagine finding an abandoned baby bird. It's cold, hungry, alone. Your first instinct is simple: help it survive. Sometimes, that help is exactly what the bird needs. But if the chick is still inside its imprinting window, something unexpected can happen. Every feeding, every voice, every familiar face becomes another thread, strengthening a bond that nature never intended. Instead of learning how to behave like a wild bird, it begins learning how to behave around people. Later, when it's strong enough to fly, the problems begin. It may approach strangers without fear, search for humans instead of its own species, even struggle to recognize potential mates. The bird survives, but the life it was preparing for has quietly changed. That's why licensed wildlife rehabilitators often go to extraordinary lengths to avoid being seen. Some wear camouflage, some use bird-shaped puppets, some even feed chicks from behind screens, not because they're hiding, but because they know. Sometimes the kindest thing a human can do is make sure the bird never believes it was raised by one. And yet, despite every precaution, some birds still remember, for years, sometimes for life. In the next part of the story, we'll discover just how long those memories can last, and why some birds never truly forget the human they first trusted. Absolutely. Here's the conclusion of your story in the same Winged Mysteries style: mystery-driven, emotional, cinematic, and science woven naturally into the narrative. Most people assume that once a bird grows up, it simply forgets. For many animals, that would be true. But imprinting isn't an ordinary memory. It's one of the very first lessons the brain ever stores. And first memories can become the hardest to erase. Wildlife rehabilitators have witnessed remarkable moments. Birds released months earlier sometimes return to the very person who raised them, not because they're looking for food, not because they're unable to survive, but because somewhere inside that remarkable brain, the memory of safety still exists. Researchers believe early experiences shape how young birds understand the world around them. Who's familiar, who's dangerous, who belongs, and who doesn't. Of course, every species is different. Not every bird forms the same lifelong attachment, but for those that do, the first face they trusted can leave a lasting impression. It's a reminder that the earliest moments of life can echo far longer than we ever imagined. Yet memory alone isn't the greatest consequence, because eventually every bird faces one unavoidable question: where do I belong? A wild bird belongs in the sky. It should learn songs from its own kind, follow experienced adults to food, recognize danger, choose a mate, raise chicks of its own. Everything about its future depends on understanding what it means to be a bird. But an imprinted bird can become trapped between two worlds. It isn't truly human, yet it may struggle to behave like other birds. Some approach people without hesitation. Others ignore members of their own species. A few become confused during breeding season, unable to understand where they fit. That's why wildlife experts work so hard to prevent imprinting whenever possible. Their goal isn't simply to keep a chick alive. It's to give it back, its future. Sometimes, the greatest act of kindness is remaining invisible. So the bird never remembers your face, only its own kind. Because in the end, survival isn't just about growing feathers. It's about knowing where you belong. But after hearing all of this, one mystery still remains. If imprinting can change an entire life, what should you do? If you ever find a baby bird alone, the next time you discover a tiny hatchling, alone in the grass, or resting beneath a tree, remember this: The greatest gift isn't always picking it up. Sometimes, it's taking a moment to understand what's really happening. Many young birds aren't abandoned at all. Their parents may be nearby, watching, waiting, ready to return as soon as it's safe. And if the bird truly needs help, the safest choice is contacting a licensed wildlife rehabilitator, someone who knows how to protect not only its life, but its future. Because once a chick imprints, there's no simple way to erase that first impression. The first face it sees can shape the entire story of its life, not through magic, not through love alone, but through one of nature's most extraordinary survival strategies. Perhaps that's why this mystery continues to fascinate scientists even today. A creature no larger than your hand can look at the world for the very first time and in a single, unforgettable moment, decide who its family is. And maybe that's a reminder for us as well. First moments matter. The earliest experiences often shape the lives that follow. If this story changed the way you see baby birds, let us know in the comments. Have you ever rescued a chick or watched one take its very first steps into the world? We'd love to hear your story. And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden mysteries of birds and wildlife, subscribe to Winged Mysteries, because sometimes the greatest secrets of nature begin with something as simple as the very first face a tiny bird ever sees.